And ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for what is about to come? Game 5 in just a little bit between GGA and TLA. Something we all wanted. I'm so happy to be here, but yo, I'm glad I got y'all beside me because looking at this, man, GGA in its previous game are firing on all cylinders. Everything they wanted, they got. Cage, break down this game for us.
So the early game, just so fantastic for Golden Guardians Academy. You got to think about the bot lane in particular. Newbie playing out of his mind, getting a nice level 1 that pushes the entire lane and gets pressure bot side for the entirety of the first 10 minutes. Amazing stuff. And Rosethorn playing a completely different game. I feel like if I had to pick one person who really showed up in game 4, it was Rosethorn. He's able to not only facilitate the kills with this nice double flash, but also he's giving the kills to Yunvi and giving the kills to his laners, which is so important and something that's been missing in their losses. You saw him on the Lee Sin as well as the Viego in game 1, where he was just getting kills and it wasn't doing anything because he himself could not get into lanes and he could not be the one that's actually doing the damage. So here you're getting a different side, and this is the Golden Guardians Academy that we needed to see the entire series.
And even though Team Liquid Academy did try their best, you just saw that last play right there where they focused on Ayla. Golden Guardians and Rosethorn, you know, the person you had to point out before, just so active across the map. They were trying to impact every single map and every play that Team Liquid would try to make. One of the key components for Golden Guardians, Yunbi. He was able to show up and be able to bring the team fight of Golden Guardians, bring the DPS, bring the impact needed to keep them alive in this tournament. And from this point out, Golden Guardians are firing on all cylinders. Everything TLA tried to do. Oh no, you got to show this.
Oh no! My heart breaks.
Except for that poor turret in the mid lane. What was that? 25 health? Was it Kate?
It was very close, but it was like that for about what 5 minutes. So really sticking to that, and Golden Guardians Academy just had a response for everything Team Liquid Academy was doing.
Not a single thing Team Liquid could really do about this one. Golden Guardians just had their number, and like really, the draft made sense for them, right? They started off by going straight after the Trundle, by going straight after the Rise, and the first champions we saw make an impact in this game were those said ones right there. Then anytime they would look for an engagement, they would force it right away, just knowing how strong their team fight is, knowing how strong their skirmish is. I mean, come on. This is a comp meant for that. Xayah, Ornn, Rise, they all have great teamfight prowess. They all have great teamfight potential, and Golden Guardians utilized it so well.
And this right here is GGA's bread and butter. They know exactly what to do, whether it is exact position, right? Playing with the 5v5s, and especially off of the early leads that they built for themselves, is phenomenal too. Just like, and Cage, you mentioned it before, but the bot lane this game too, with the Newbie not taking flash, which Rebel even said it too, super Chad move, by the way. Like, just making sure they can have double aggressive summoners and starting right from level 1, forcing, you know, the heal and exhaust down bot side too. That, I find, set the pace and the tone for the entire game. I said already, but if this is the GGA that we go into game 5, then I find the TLA have to be worried. But I have my personal opinions about it though. I'll come to you first on this here, Cage. Is this the team's final form? And can we expect more from TLA as well?
I mean, from Golden Guardians Academy, yes. I feel like focusing, as Desrex was saying, both on the Rise and the Trundle, super important for Golden Guardians. I feel like they have been, the sides have been locked in, and it's going to be the same thing we've seen the past 4 games. So picking both of those in phase 1 going to be super important. On the other side for TLA, I feel like they have a lot of importance in the bot lane, and they need to prioritize those stronger supports a little bit more.
And I do want to put this into context real quick, just how big this match is really shaping up to be. Because Team Liquid are first place in Academy. They won the whole thing. This is an 8th place Academy squad in Golden Guardians Academy. They didn't make it to playoffs. They had to qualify to the United Grand Prix. They lost in the first round of Proving Grounds, and they've been fighting all the way back from the losers bracket. Right now, they are 1 win away from taking down the champions and making it into the finals. This has been such a spectacular performance to see. This has been an amazing revitalization coming out of Golden Guardians over the summer, ever since they got Newbie. And this matchup right here, my God, Golden Guardians have made a stance. And even if they lose right here, finishing top 3, they should be damn proud of themselves.
Oh, like absolutely. Yeah, we said it right at the top of the show, but the entire anime protagonist arc that GGA has going on right now is definitely not looking to slow down, right? And on the other end, for Team Liquid Academy though, right? This, I think, would really be a testament to their adaptability, their staff, and like them as a team, considering, you know, they did have 2 subs come in way late in the season with Dokla and Inori2 and the first couple of series, although a little bit back and forth, but the quick changes, the huge amounts of adaptation, and the ability to synergize so well, I think really does speak to the caliber of the team, and there's a reason why they were first place and might continue to be so. So either way, if either one of these teams move on, personally, I'd be very, very happy, but end of the day, I am ecstatic that we're seeing some absolutely phenomenal League of Legends, like, which makes my heart genuinely happy here. But gentlemen, real quick though, it's just, I know we've been talking a lot of back and forth about what the weight can be for this series. Like, one big thing, right? Do you find that TLA this game surprises us, considering we're on the exact same sides, or do you think they'll go back to the same bread and butter?
I mean, since we're on the same sides, I feel like the things that have been working for Team Liquid Academy, which is strong jungle presence in the bot lane and playing through Yan, have been just working amazingly. Dokla, when he gets his power picks and he gets the final pick, you know, that pick 5 on red side, it's going to be the most explosive thing. Focusing on that, it's going to be a win for Team Liquid, and hopefully they can play the way that they did in their victories this series.
It's a very small thing for me, but I would personally, if I was Team Liquid, I would say forsake the Kindred ban. I think there's better things that can be taken off the map, like the Rise that we saw come out of Yunbi. And even if you do forfeit the LeBlanc over to Golden Guardians, Team Liquid have shown they are competent in playing into that matchup and neutralizing it. So that's the main change I would like to see out of Team Liquid Academy. For Golden Guardians, just keep getting those comps that have agency throughout all stages of the game that you can snowball towards that late game stage and run right through Team Liquid.
I think that's very much a possibility, right? Either considering the early game we've seen so far from both of these teams, the first about 15 minutes of the game can really tell a very interesting story. So even in the previous game, it was only about 1 kill, but right now, like, with what we have present between the two, the adaptations have been present, and the changes, I'm sure, in the terms of the mental and what we might see out of the 5th game might be abundant. But I'm gonna head it off to the casters. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get it.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting raring and ready to go for Game 5 of this Best of 5 semifinals in the LCS Proving Ground Summer 2021 split. I'm Mazel, again joined by Rebel. I couldn't be more excited for this game, as it's literally just a best of 1 now to book your ticket to the grand final.
Things have culminated in what is arguably one of the most wonderful experiences inside of League of Legends, which is going to a full best of 5 between two teams who have had amazing back and forth between the games that they have actually had against one another. And we're getting a chance to see that now inside of semifinals between two teams that, again, beginning of the splits, had very different kind of looks coming into PG. With Golden Guardians Academy, they came in as what is on your screen, 12th seed, versus Team Liquid Academy, who are your champions, now competing just to get in to compete against 100 Thieves for the #1 spot.
They are indeed, but as we do have to get down to brass tacks, draft's already started. We heard it on the desk. No switch up of sides. It will be the same sides for all 5 games. See if draft changes a little bit in that fashion. GGA on the blue side, ban away the Thresh, Cassiopeia, and the Camille. Big picks across the board. On the other side, the Trundle joins the ban list, as well as the TF and the Ziggs, which has been, those two at least, banned every single game by TL.
Biggest thing, Aurelia available in this game for the first time all series. Through the first 4 games, banned away every single game. This time, potentially on the board for somebody here for Team Liquid Academy if they would like it. If Hayri is going to be able to take that one for himself. No maybe potential to pilot that one. As again, it is Golden Guardians Academy. They lose their Trundle, so they say, okay, priority's got to go to something else. They put it into the support. You saw the Bard, very highly prioritized for Team Liquid. Dude, they go back to Recon.
Newbie looked insane on the Recon last game. Like, oh my god, the oppression that they were able to put down with the Xayah Recon and bot lane was huge. Now we get the response from TL. They finally are able to get back the Varus for Yon.
And now, I mean, this is what we saw in the first 2 games for the side of Team Liquid Academy, is playing through what is very strong Varus on the opposite side. Hayri, I believe this is the first time he's played at least in Proving Grounds, and so this is a pretty unique experience here that we've got for the side of Team Liquid Academy, pulling this one out at the last possible second, trusting in Hayri to be able to use a champion that he hasn't had at least too much on stage time for here. And banking again on Yon, being able to play this very kind of strong early ADC, being able to capitalize on this lethality Varus to punish what is the safe bottom lane from the side of Golden Guardians Academy.
Yeah, messed up though. You gave Prismal his Ezreal. It's Prismal, but you know how it goes. Ezreal is going to finally make its way back into this series, especially after seeing Prismal have very, very good games 1 and 2, right? And being able to take the win in game 2 for Golden Guardians. Will resurge back in game 5 with the Rakan matchup. Not necessarily super thrilled about that one, but they will also lock down the Syndra. Very safe early parts to this draft for GGA, looking for that late game.
There are very, very good range from a lot of these players, as well as comfort here from the likes of the bot lane. We've seen this combination. We've seen these champions individually with the Ezreal and the Rakan being able to do so much work here for Newbie and Prismal, especially Newbie, who had an amazing last game on the likes of this Rakan. The safety for Prismal, again, this is about as comfortable as it gets for a champion, and being able to have that range with the Syndra as well, very helpful for being able to engage from a distance, get into the Rise as well, as Braum taken here, trying to deflect some of that ranged damage from the Ezreal, from the likes of the Syndra, help out his team as much as possible, try to help kind of bridge that gap that's going to be generated with the range advantage of Ezreal and Syndra over their counterparts.
And we were hearing the desk talk a little bit more about this Braum pick not getting through last time, or not being picked up when it was let through last time around, but this time will be picked up by TL Academy. I like that synergy with the Varus, especially going into the Ezreal. That matchup is going to be huge. We started this whole day talking about top lane, especially Niles v Dokla. It is a huge storyline in itself. We've seen the meta within this best of 5 shift into more focus around bot lane. Whichever bot lane really secures priority and has found those early advantages propels their team to new heights every single time. You see the objective control around dragons and things along those lines leading to these wins for both teams. So very, very excited to see these two bot lanes go head to head here. We have some very integral pieces that need to be picked up for both these teams as we go into the second phase. You see TL Academy already have banned away the Jarvan and the Jace. Rek'Sai was the ban away from Midori on the side of Golden Guardians Academy.
We've seen like the Rek'Sai pop up exclusively for Inori and the Jarvan pop up for a lot of different junglers, and wanting to not give away any sort of early presence to be had by Rosethorn, who's now going to be removed from Trundle and Jarvan and everything else. Nocturne also taken off as Inori's comfort is, again, something that he's been known for since he joined onto Team Liquid Academy just a couple of months ago, and during the course, of course, that Academy split. Top lane also, question mark, Ornn. Is it going to come through? We have another option.
I mean, it looked pretty dang good last time around. I would expect it to go through potentially, but you never know with these kinds of situations, especially where everything relies on this final game, right? Like, this is potentially one of these teams' last game in the year in Proving Grounds here. Volibear makes a resurgence for TL Academy. That's a huge one. I feel like it was a big influence in their last game, although it didn't get the win.
No, it did not. We're seeing just a shuffling of champions. It's going to be top lane and it's going to be jungle as is the picks, as we're just getting some troll hovers here from the likes of Prismal.
There it is. I would have expected the Ornn 1,000 times here with how good it looked.
The one thing I will say is that into a Braum, it is a lot harder to make sure that Ornn ultimate is going to have that massive impact. And so I was thinking, okay, I think TL Academy with the Braum not only helping out the bottom side with this Halo Blades Varus, but also a denial potentially of that top side Ornn, just making sure that that is not going to come through. Fortunately, they've got a plan for it. Xin Zhao, you jump in on Xin Zhao, you knock that Braum away, that Ornn ultimate gets to come through just as if there was nothing there in the first place. So here, Rosethorn wants to get aggressive in this earlier phase, wants to make things happen across the map, wants to be one of these primary engages for his team to set up that Ornn ultimate.
Oh, the final pick locked in is going to be the Shin. This is the answer for Dokla against Niles' Ornn. This is how they find synergies across the map, not making Dokla get locked into that top lane matchup against Niles. Get him onto the map to help the rest of the team.
Interesting that this is what they opt for in game number 5. Dokla has been known so heavily for things like the Jace, things like the Aatrox in the past, even like back to his days of like Yorick, and like those carries were always the thing that like made him stick out. And it's Shen in game number 5 wanting the map control and the global presence to help out Hayri, and especially attacking to the bottom side. Again, Des talked about that. Cage was one who mentioned it a lot. That Team Liquid Academy, when they've been consistently attacking through Yawn, that's been what's worked for them very effectively through all 3 or all 4 of these games. When that's happened, that's been the best way to go. Shen going to add on to that. Now all of a sudden, you have dive potential with Volibear. You have the additional shield to throw onto the Shen with an extra member without having to TP. Things go a little bit crazy. Golden Guardians Academy, they're going to have a storm to weather on the bottom side here.
They absolutely are, and that's the biggest question for me is how do they turn that around? How do they find those advantages? My eyes are solely placed on Rosethorn on the Xin Zhao. The first time we've gotten to see this pick come through in this game number 5. It's a skirmish-heavy jungler that Rosethorn can succeed at. It's all about that early pathing, where that uniqueness comes through, because we've seen both junglers really have at it in those early pathing and find success. I'm oh so excited. I'm sorry. We got to send to a little break, but we got game number 5 of this intense best of 5 between Golden Guardians Academy and TL Academy on the other side of this short break. One more match stands between these teams and a ticket to the grand finals. The LCS Proving Grounds 2021 Summer Semifinals between Golden Guardians Academy and Team Liquid Academy is decided after this single match.
everything has now led to this. Golden Guardians run, Team Liquid substitutes, everything that's been culminating between these two teams for the entirety of the Academy season.
Minions have spawned.
Everything's banked on this game to be able to go to finals, to be able to compete against the side of 100 Thieves, to be able to take it to their substitute top laner, their substitute jungler. To say that, like, pride is on the line when you talk about these players, to think about, like, development, to talk about next season and what these players are going to be able to do, so much comes out here in Proving Grounds when it comes to what it is that you're able to show for yourself. And that's what we're looking at now from the side of Golden Guardians and Team Liquid Academy. They don't want to be known as the third best team in Proving Grounds of summer 2021. They want to be the best team.
Everything from these teams will be left on the table today. And you have to. These moments are where greatness thrives. This is where you see the step ups from players. This is where you see those shining moments that you'll look on back into the future, at least, or look back into the history and memorize and see these moments and thrive in them as well. And the fact that we've gone back and forth, TL having found advantages in their way, GGA finding their comebacks, it's been incredible. And now to go into game 5, I'm not sure what we're going to get, but I would expect a lot more of the same bloodthirsty League of Legends around these objectives and around this spot lane. I
would hope so. Team Liquid Academy, they find themselves in a position where that has been what's worked for them. They go back to the Varus, they go back to the Braum, and now it's a question of, like, Prismal and Newbie have stepped up individually in a couple of different situations here, especially Newbie, who's had some amazing games from Bard, from Khan in the previous game.
God.
And they make it happen.
Niles? He's on the wrong side of dodge. He does get out. Dokla doesn't want to lose the wave there, but it will be an early flash out by Niles.
We're on wave 3.
Yeah, we are.
We are flashing on wave 3. The entirety of this map, everything like leading up to this game is so much tension. You have to think, okay, how much are these players willing to make some of the early mistakes? And we still have Dokla and Niles mollywopping each other in the top lane after all things.
It don't change, man. It don't change.
No, they don't change. Nothing changes. Even on the Ornn pick, Niles is able to make some aggression happen. Even on the Shen pick, Dokla's going to be trading very aggressively. It just doesn't matter with these two. They're out for blood.
And we do see pathing leading us toward the bot side, leading us to some early skirmishing. But this is something, we got to look at the map. Rosethorn is on a gank in the mid lane. This is something he's been able to get off in the past games, but he can't find it this time around. Hayri forced to flash away.
Good anticipation of the E coming out from the likes of Yunbi. He has a very low mana bar, but if that stun hits him, he almost certainly gets slowed and then immediately knocked up afterwards. So good on Harry to be able to actually keep himself in a position where he's not going to get stunned up, not going to get punished early. The Rise is going to be able to sit here. This is something they want to exploit a number of times. I expect to see Rosethorn in mid lane, even after the flash comes back up, to be able to punish this matchup because you have this ranged CC to work with into a Rise. Very rare to find a champion who can just set up the play from so far outside of the Rise's range for the Xin Zhao to be able to capitalize on.
And both of these teams are just constantly fluid in this early game. You already had pretty much double roam up to the mid lane from both these supports. You had both junglers hovering around that mid lane, definitely getting a spotlight on the matchup between Harry and Yunbi and what it means for this series, let alone this game.
You can see it, you can feel the tension with a knife right now. It feels like First Blood is something I'm keeping such a high track on because I don't know who it's going to be. We've had action everywhere, right? Top lane is oftentimes going to be your best bet. But in this one, especially without the flash from Niles early, I wonder where it is. I remember I used to have a broadcaster that I work with that he gave me this uncomfortable question of where are we going to see First Blood? And that is such an important question for a series like this one, especially in this 5th game, for gaining momentum here in game number 5.
And I will say, level 6 is coming up quickly for Dokla, and you're going to have the Stand United to start fights off with and things along those lines. So that's also something I really want to watch out for. Something that's been banned away a majority of this game has been those semi-globals or long-term map pressure around the map picks. And one that finally gets through is the Shen. So I really want to see how Team Liquid are able to utilize that one with the rest of their composition, and especially trying to push and pull Golden Guardians across the map.
They are. You can see right here the sneak out from both of the ADs to make sure they can come back with some like resources inside of the laning phase. It becomes the Dirk, and then of course the tier for the likes of the Varus, and it's the Sheen, and then also the tier coming out from the Ezreal to be able to respond to one another as the wave doesn't get pushed. It's going to be Isla who stays around long enough to make sure Rakan can't do anything about that. And now Dragons have also been something that has been a massive kind of game changer for both of these teams for the entirety of the series. And it seems like these early Dragons are something to keep your eye on, just because it gives so much pressure to set up 5-on-5s. It gives so much scaling option. Now, when these teams transition into mid game, if TLA feels that pressure, sometimes they are not in a position to be able to exploit that. And so I'm watching. Who is going to go for the first Dragon? Do they make a misstep? Is there a play to be had from the opposition to try to punish them when they walk in for that Dragon? Because again, whoever's controlling it's going for it very heavily.
We're literally just getting a 3v3 to kick off the game here, the mid lane. Everybody is putting their eggs in the mid lane basket, and Nori and Rosethorn just do not want to let this presence go. No. Looks like Nori will get the Scuttle Crab in front of the Dragon as well, so setting up potentially for that. But both teams with a lot of topsy-turviness in the mid and bot lane doesn't necessarily mean that this objective is free and open to them.
Not quite. And you have Yawn pushing on bottom side. So now with Midwave being caught by the likes of Syndra, being shoved in, they've got the Scuttle Crab, but there's a lot of members right there. We don't see them quite yet.
Oh, the Dragon's just going to go down. We didn't get to see a lot of the fighting that we potentially wanted to see. The Golden Guardians were maneuvering around that way. They just had better priority in the lanes. They got off bot lane first. They got off mid lane first, and were able to use that to get that first Dragon.
I like that quite a bit because, again, if you're bot lane as Isla, you're not going to accomplish much when it comes to wave. You're going to shove bot lane, but you're not going to do much else. Because of his presence mid lane, making me want to call for that first blood. Actually, we got more top lane.
Realm Warp is here too. He flashes away from the Ornhorn, and now Niles again finds himself on the wrong side of the tracks here. Can he get Dokla back in a trade? He cannot. First blood finally goes over to Dokla 7.5 minutes in.
Scrapping for anything right there. Look at Harry's mana bar. He's at 0 right now. Every single one of those spells was the absolute minimum gas tank that he could have had. And you can see just how close the two teams are right there. Decent outplay coming out from Dokla. Not going to get knocked up or traded by the likes of Niles Horn, who's been able to play this champion very effectively. Requires getting a bit of pressure here from Harry, getting that kill onto him. Well, actually, it actually went onto the Shen. It would get the assist, though, coming here from the likes of Harry to help out some of these solo lanes, which have also been kind of under the microscope as these solo lanes, in the games that have been won from GGA, have normally equalized. So it's a question of how well can we spiral TLA.
Oh, wait! How does that even happen?
What?
He goes down potentially here, but the turn back Yunbi gets the kill into Ayla. Now the Chains of Corruption was there on a Rosethorn. He's tanking up a storm right now. Dokla joins with a TP, but can't really get any into it. And Ayla just goes down.
Explain. Please explain. I don't know what just happened.
We gotta get a replay of that one. That's insane.
We have to see what happened. It looked like he shifted direction in the middle of his W or something like that.
So they didn't see that Yunbi was right there around the corner, and neither that Niles, right? That Scryer's bloom only came across the front half of it, and Ayla just felt a little confident. But yeah, that last interaction is so weird.
Strange.
We see Rosethorn starting the Rip Trap, but the fight's continuing as Inori goes in onto Niles. He gets half his health bar chunked out. Big Grand Entrance on top, but the True Shot Barrage is blocked by Isla. And now you see so much damage being able to be pressed on by Team Liquid Academy, and they just get the Rift Herald after it all.
Throw it all out the door. Everything. It doesn't matter. Our lanes don't matter. We're going to go to 5-on-5ing at 9 minutes into the game.
Because why not, man? Why not?
Go for it as fast as possible. If you're Team Liquid Academy and you got this Varus, you got this Shen, you got this Volibear, you got a ton of power to work with as long as the Ornn doesn't happen. I want to see what happened here exactly. Because they were able to see a couple of members coming in here. You knew they were trying to muscle their way in.
Oh, he flashed! What? Oh, no! That is not what you want to happen early on. But in the end of things, right, they're able to turn around a little bit of this, but that is definitely an interesting start.
Was he flashing to, go back in so that he could start the concussive
guess
blow
he
stacks into Rakan?
I was wondering if maybe he didn't think he got the stand behind me off to where he was going to be on the other side of the Nori, and then he wanted to flash, but the mouse was still at... That's a little beside the point. Something happened.
Something funky just happened that cost at least... The funny part is it didn't end up costing because
didn't.
Isla comes right back out, and they muscle out of the river. They're able to take back so much, a lot of it off the back of, again, very early damage.
That True Shot Barrage block was huge.
That was also humongous as Isla, with this shield, able to take a lot of damage out of the kind of barrel of what it is that's being pointed at themselves. And in this early game, situations like that, humongous for Team Liquid Academy. They feel comfortable with the champions they've got early, especially with how strong Shen is already in this game. to just start things off very aggressively. They want to push the tempo of this game to
Look
make
at this,
sure
Rebel.
that Yawn is going to be used properly.
They got Niles on the bot side, but they got 4 members on the top side for Golden Guardians Academy. Unfortunately, they don't have a Realm Warp like the side of Team Liquid do. So Team Liquid just going to take the onus of that. Look to take first tower on the bot side with the Rift Herald.
We are right back into Game 1, Game 2 territory with this Ezreal, loading as much gold as possible into the back pockets of Prismal, hoping that he's going to be able to help carry this team in this team fighting. Again, you talk about stock standard from the beginning of the split before the success was had. This is what Golden Guardians was able to rely on, was Prismal on these very safe, very highly scaling champions, being able to do a lot of work inside of the team fight. Seems like they're going back to something like that, making sure he's going to respond with at least a couple of plays. Not matching whatsoever, because again, this early game feels like it's going to be run by Team Liquid Academy, given what we've seen already with the 2,000 gold lead. But again, the sleeping force, the 35-minute win condition,
exactly.
Prismal, Yunbi waiting for their turn.
But the thing here, and we have a little bit of a teller on how this game goes, it has been down to dragons. It has been down to the souls. When TL can find those early dragons, can find that early soul, they will just steamroll the entire game. Where we've found success for Golden Guardians, if they get 1, they get 2. They just stop that scaling a little bit longer to get the items online for themselves. And have to continue to watch how much pressure TL put on these objectives, as it looks like they're already starting up the second dragon of the game.
They are able to grab it away from Golden Guardians, who haven't been able to find too many strikes in their back pocket for the most part, which is at least something to track. Because again, when Golden Guardians is able to go blow for blow in these earlier games, those games were 2 and 4. And there's a reason why they won those games, because they looked a lot better. Dragon count or not, they were able to kind of find counter strikes. And now, with the Dragon take, they're looking for a dive on a Dokka.
Quickness does come out. The charm is there. Wow. Not going to be able to follow up with the damage. The power unleashed, not enough. One more tick could do it. Rosethorn can't go for it. Dokka gets out. Now Realm Warp in the mid lane. We got the continued action. Prismal flashes over the wall and gets out.
Nori's trying to make a response play happen. Topside, Dokka able to sneak out. Nothing enough to damage him. He gets pretty tanky. He had finished his items. He was in a necessary position. In the mid lane, they force onto Prismal, getting his flash and his cleanse out, equalizing play across the board for the most part. They pulled another tower plate off of top lane, which is the one advantage, in exchange for that second dragon that Team Liquid have been able to use to a plumb to run the way that the games are going. GGA have to figure out a way to get more gold and to challenge into what is now third-rate territory. Because again, when they give up that third dragon and give Team Liquid the ability to force them into a position where they're going to have to take Dragon Soul, that's bad.
Yeah,
Prismal,
absolutely.
they can't be leaving Prismal on an island like this. He needs every resource he can, not to be playing defensively, but to be playing on the offense, to be able to pull kills and anything like that. Flash, cleanse, whatever it's necessary to get him in team fights. You got to keep that on the board.
Yeah, exactly. This is the Prismal game now. If you can get him to the end, it's like a little mini game at this point on the Ezreal. Just call it the Prismal game. We'll see if he can get there, though, to the odds of Team Liquid Academy, who have been trying to push the pedal to the metal here. They've got 2 kills on Dokka. They've got Stand United available. I'm looking for the trigger pull at the next fight here, and especially where the setup is for Team Liquid Academy. You see a lot of bodies hovering around this mid lane now that we've gotten the ADCs to join that mid lane struggle, but it's all these side lanes and the possibilities that Team Liquid have to punish those side lanes.
They do. They still have yet to really pull the Shen card yet.
No.
This might be the first opportunity.
Oh no, Inori is caught. Isn't going to be enough damage to follow it up. They don't have the backup. Yunbi is on the other side. They almost catch out Inori.
Not to mention, I want to know, Niles leaning super heavily into knowing that these fights can make a difference, right? He was walking. He's not going to match teleport for ultimate from the likes of Shen. He wants to be there first. He wants to be the one there, because all he's doing is catching waves at this point, pulling some experience. If his TP gets burnt, all of a sudden they have a global advantage for Dokka that he doesn't want to have to worry about. So here, if that Stand United gets burnt in a skirmish like that and they get a disengage, 100% valuable. So that's why they're giving out a vision as much as possible. They're doing it again. Syndra is far enough back. They're not going to have to worry about that going down. They're just trying to take top tower pressure.
Rosethorn might just get caught here. Concussive blows are going to connect.
Really
Hela is the only one there. He flashes again out of the way. Maybe. No, it's not going to go down just yet. And Hayri gets the kill. What a setup from TL.
Prismal was really low there. I'm not sure if that happened before the fight or during the fight, if he had just taken a little bit too much damage, an arrow or something from the likes of Yawn. But that is pressure put into top tower. I thought they were just trying to convert this into pushing down like top tower plates while bottom lane gets shoved in slowly by Dokla, because you're willing to make that trade happen, or you're forcing them to go somewhere and defend something. But instead, they find this kill. That's going to drive them out of their own jungle. No jungler means they can't respond to Rift Herald. And it's Team Liquid Academy just pulling every single objective off the board, have complete control of how this early game has really been sculpted.
They absolutely do. And something here that has gone a little bit under the radar, but something we haven't talked about so much, at least in the last little bit, has been the absolute tremendous impact that Ayla has been able to have for the team, that Newbie has been able to have for the team. It's silent but deadly here. The setups are huge, and Ayla is constantly with the rest of his team setting up those concussive blows to make these team fights go their way.
When you talk about like things like assist count, you talk about like KDA, you talk about kill participation, things of that sort, all the statistics that make up a good support, two of the highest, Newbie and Ayla, right? That's just like true throughout the entirety of the split, and we knew that. The big question was like, okay, Newbie, he's on an 8th place team, he has these amazing support stats, they're coming to fruition. You can see the impact that he has in the game. There's a reason why he was on the LCS squad for a little while.
Exactly.
And it's because he's insane. He's absolutely insane. Ayla in the same way, somebody that a lot of people didn't know as well before the split had started. Now, you have to have the name in the back of your head, because you've seen the impact that he's been able to have as well, especially in this game on the Braum, looking amazing thus far, being able to generate that play on his own and have impact across the map.
Oh, talk about impact across the map. Newbie has found Dokla. He can't get out of this one. True Shot Barrage comes across, and Dokla slowly but surely going to be taken down by Golden Guardians Academy. The shutdown goes over to Newbie, just who you're talking about.
They have abandoned now this mid lane where Niles and Prismal are. Rift Herald likely to take this tower. Thankfully, there's no like pressure actually being put onto Niles and Prismal in terms of a dive. I was thinking Inori was going to actually force for something with his like ultimate flash not available, not going to be enough to get him over top of that Raptor wall. So they're just going to pull the tower, get more gold into Yawn as much as possible. Like you said, Dragon's up. I feel like they're comfortable. If they take third Dragon, yes, there's a lot of gold, a lot of pressure to be put out of this top lane inner going down, especially to put onto Yunbi, who is like on this Syndra, who's got this range and this damage to work with. But you're now pulling third Dragon. This is the situation you are in game number 1, where they were able to force you into bad situations where you were not ready to teamfight. Your Ezreal is not on 2 items. Your Syndra is not anywhere near 2 items yet. You are not in a position in the next 5 minutes to fully employ this teamfight that you have designed. Can they find something else? Can they do something but teamfight here?
That's what we were talking about. That's what we've seen represented through this series, is when Golden Guardians can get under the skin of TL, stop even one dragon stacking. It works so much for them because it stalls that time, it buys them that time. But now you've just got a steamrolling TLA who are on sole point right now and who have a decent map movement to them, at least in the decision making that we've seen so far in this game number 5. And it gets so difficult for Golden Guardians to move around the map unhindered, to not be forced into play styles like you were talking about.
I want to talk about the fact also that, like, Hayri right now, he's playing a champion that he hasn't had too much experience in Proving Grounds on. Didn't see too much in terms of, like, previous history. Insane. He's on, like, 11.5 CS a minute right now. Like, our Rises in Academy just, like, are not capable of missing minions. It is insane the level that these Rises go to. And again, this is a guy that I would have expected that necessarily from, especially in the first game. He's showing that proficiency very far forward. He's showing he's willing to take this champion into Yunbi, who has been one of the more avid Rise players throughout the entirety of the split, being that like team fighting kind of setup, being that scaling type of setup, the way that Golden Guardians do. TLA doesn't always have that. Here, Hayri is going to be one of the biggest kind of late game factors here for the likes of Team Liquid Academy.
And some kind of a little tangent here, the fact that we have so much skill in this mashup in particular, in these 10 players, we have a variance of OPL players, we've got XLCS players, we've got Scouting Grounds winners, we've got such a cool mesh of player stories and players in general on these teams. It's so interesting to see the ebb and flow of who is successful, where we're seeing the meta lean to, and how all these teams have just put everything they have from this season into this. And like you were saying with Hayri, being able to whip out the Rise, being able to have a performance like this against Yunbi, who was having some damn good performances on the Rise himself, gets kind of left out there. And now we see Rosethorn go for the engage, grand entrance from the back. Rosethorn with the present card is going to be blocking a ton of damage, but it's not enough. And Ayla gets another kill for his team. Team Liquid are continuing to mount the pressure on Golden Guardians.
That's another hard Smurf fight by the likes of Isla, and now they feel comfortable. No Rosethorn, no Smite, no contest from the Baron. They have to fight right here. They are calling Niles from the opposite side of the map. This is a game because again, they lose this. Again, Dragon is going to be up in 2 minutes. They might give away back into the game. They got to take this.
Prismal's doing some serious poke damage with the Barons getting oh so low. Niles goes in with the Ornhorn. This is crucial. Grand Interest comes in. It's taken by Inori. Now the rest of the fight. Big double knock up here. Golden Guardians, they're getting routed. Prismal can't do a thing as it's going to be a TP from Hayri on the other side. You're caught between a rock and a hard place, but Prismal is still firing away shot after shot. And it's TLA who moved to mid lane to continue to press up.
That was a 20-minute Baron. It went down so fast. And right here, Rosethorn is trying to deny anything
Oh
else.
my god, the Chains of Corruption. No, Rosethorn is down.
That might just do it. Team Liquid Academy, they're sitting up 7,500 gold in 21 minutes. They've got 3 dragons. This is the exact recipe that they used in games 1 and 3 to just beat down Golden Guardians. They don't get to team fight. They've been denied the later stages of the game. They have a forcing move here. Right after this, again, I cannot talk enough about how Isla smurfed this fight. Not only blocking the 2-shot barrage, the ultimate slowing down Rosethorn's exit, the concussive blows being able to keep him back in place when they're up to stun out. Huge stuff from the likes of this support. They shift immediately. They go, we got the damage. We can do this. We're going to Baron right now. Again, my fear was, if they lose this fight, you've given a bunch of gold back to the side of Golden Guardians, especially Ezreal, who could potentially carry this game. And if you don't get Baron off the back of it, there's a lot of punishment. They take it down so quickly. Rise, Paris, able to do this.
Oh my god, we've got more fights. Double knock up. Newbie is trying to get something happening here. They're trying to pick off the members of TL Academy, but is it going to be enough? Rosethorn has to get out. Prismal has found one. Can he find more? He's still popping shots. Ornhorn's going to come in. Knock up onto Dokla. They can't follow up the damage. Just isn't there, Rebel, as TLA are looking at this second-tier tower, pushing it up with the Baron buff.
Strike with everything right there. So many members of it up, and just that little rush as all things
Oh
come together.
no, Realm Warp on the side. The party don't stop because TL are in front of it. They've got the Realm Warp on the side. Hayri just wants the Rune Prison but can't find the distance.
Right there. Actually, health bar is decently low. Dragon's gonna be coming up in 10 seconds. Can they get in a position with Rosethorn? Can Rosethorn deploy fast enough to be able to contest against this Dragon? They can stall this game a little bit longer. That Baron buff did significant damage.
Oh no, Niles is down to Yon on a rampage. The Varus is coming up clutch right now. And Dokla's gonna catch out Rosethorn as well. It's pick after pick. And Team Liquid Academy are asserting their dominance in Game 5.
Golden Guardians there, doors slammed in their face right here. That is immediate, just aggression. So heavily, starting at that top tower, into Baron, into the fight afterwards, immediately into mid lane taking towers, into bottom lane being able to take the remainder of the fight, and now with Cloud Soul in their back pocket, maybe not exactly the soul you'd want to close out a game, but certainly a ton of power in their favor right here. Look at this, 4 members show up from the side of Golden Guardians. Rosethorn tries to be frontline, Niles tries to be frontline, Prismal gets 1, but that's everything in the kitchen sink thrown just to pull 1 member off the board. Isla gets the shield back up, able to block the Ord ultimate, and there's no play to be had from this point forward, and you're losing your mid tower. Yonbi down a bunch of health. Rosethorn down a bunch of health. Prismal tries to be a hero. They get an engagement into him, push him out the bottom of this fight, and all of a sudden, nothing goes the way of Golden Guardians. They are shoved completely out of their own jungle, despite having this numbers advantage, or at least at first having this numbers advantage. Yunbi going down in the midst of everything and getting caught out here by Niles under 50% health is all that's necessary to close out so much from the side of Team Liquid Academy.
It's quite impressive. It's the backup of it here. The Chains of Corruption max distance with the finishing kill. And that's just huge teamwork coming out from Team Liquid Academy. It's exactly what we wanted to see from this team, right? We've seen the trials and tribulations that they've gone through. We've seen the adaptations that they've had going from this insanely dominant team fight late game team to finding advantages early and making it stick. It is a huge development cycle from Team Liquid Academy here, and they just have to cross their T's, dot their I's to cross that finish line and get that rematch with 100 Thieves.
I also find it kind of cathartic, the fact that, like, when you think of the players that are substituted in for a number of these rosters, Team Liquid Academy, when they find their success, a lot of it is through Yon and Isla, as those two kind of, alongside Hayri, being the most important, being the ones that have been around on the roster for such a long time. The same can be said about 100 Thieves Academy when they play through Luger, when they've got 2 new members in the top side of the map. This makes for an interesting little play. Tomorrow, if we get Team Liquid Academy inside of that finals up against the likes of 100 Thieves, how big and how important is that bottom lane matchup going to be now that Yon has shown his capability of carrying with things like this Varus and through games like this, even through somebody like Prismal, now up against somebody like Luger who has just as much, if not more, of this insane kind of ability behind him in the way of being one of the best, if not the best ADC at this tournament.
Indeed. What we'll see if the late game Kings in Golden Guardians Academy can pull it back from the brink. They are 10,000 gold in the deficit. They have gotten not a single, at least to this point, dragon in this game. The soul is gone. Their hopes rely on the big objectives, the Baron, the Elder, a team fight from a miracle point. Maybe they can start by catching out Dokla on the side. Wind becomes lightning, not going to connect. Dokla just flashes, will survive. Meanwhile, the base of Golden Guardians is getting aggressed on to top lane.
If they could see what we see right now, that Rise ultimate would have just been popped, getting that wave under, and they would have just taken an inhibitor almost certainly, if they don't already get one. It's going to be a second before everybody gets up there, so inhibitor tower probably goes down. Not quite, actually, so yeah, a little bit slow. But again, they didn't know where the rest of the team was. They didn't know if someone was in the base. They didn't know if somebody was close enough. Right there, though, again, if Harry's able to see that the way we see it with all of the vision toggled, he would have ulted that wave immediately, and that almost certainly was an inhibitor, and that would have been devastating to Team Liquid, or to the side of Golden Guardians. Their hope, like you said, in these big objectives, it's got to be a Baron steal. That's Rosethorn, man. Rosethorn's got to come up clutch and be able to stall things out. Prismal has the damage, and now Ornn items coming through. The Divine Sunderer upgrade has come out for this Ezreal, and all of a sudden, this pressure that's being put on. You know, Yunbi has good damage, has this voice staff, has some ability. I don't think they can stop it. I think they got to wait for another one.
It's already almost dead. It's like 6,000 health already. They're TPing for the fight. You've got Dokla still over there. Stand United is going to be used. This is a make or break stand, but the Baron's already gone. Golden Guardians get the triple knockup. They're just committing to this fight. Is it going to be enough? Scatter the Weak brings them back, but TL are still strong. They're moving up as a team, and now Newbie just needs to get a respawn for the rest of the team. They are going to be backed off. It's going to be a stalemate, but the Baron buff still secured by Team Liquid Academy.
I do not think that was the call. I will say that outright. Golden Guardians, they made a risky maneuver trying to pinch into that lone. It's actually that long into how fast, like into when the Baron started. They were coming in, teleporting at like half health. Not the time. If they started it immediately, maybe there's a chance that like you can pressure them off the Baron and they don't get to have that. They were going to get the Baron one way or another. Even if you win that fight, it's still hard to be able to respond to Elder Dragon. But at least they didn't lose right there. Because right there, if you lose that fight, if you lose 2-3 members, your base is destroyed. You are losing 2 inhibitors minimum. Elder Dragon's going to be all but like easy to take for the side of Team Liquid Academy. They at least have their lives prepared for this. Newbie, man, he's playing his heart out, finding a couple of members right here, and the Ornn ultimate combo with it was actually rather good. But there's just no damage. Prismal can't step up in fights.
Yeah, there's no follow-up. The Scout of the Week's huge. The damage from Prismal, he's chunking away, but he's hitting frontliners, and it's so hard at this point. The gold item spikes are not there just yet, and Ayla is just too strong for that front line against the Prismal Ezreal, who we've seen pop off so many times on his pick. He's literally known for it, but he just can't pull it through for the team so far. Now we're looking at the final pushes potentially here for Team Liquid. They're looking at mid lane. They've locked down Niles. This tower is the focus, though. Can they get the inhibs unlocked? Dokla trying to make work on the top side. Mid tower will fall. It looks like Team Liquid will separate themselves here. Oh my god, Yunbi's just dead. This is it. This is the route. Team Liquid have found it. They will not be stopped. They will not say no. They want that revenge match against 100 Thieves Academy. Prismal's the last one left. He's the only one that can be the saving grace, but he's going to go down, and through the trials, the tribulations, the substitutes, every single thing that Team Liquid, the champions of the Academy Summer Split, have gone through to this moment, they will seek redemption against 100 Thieves Academy in the grand finals.
Golden Guardians Academy, they came out 8th in Academy. They had to work their way through the qualifier. They lost in the first round, and it is not until finals of the lower bracket that they get put down. Team Liquid get to be the ones that put them down. Stop this story where it was started, right here in game number 5. What a poetic way for this team to get put out of the tournament, and amazing stuff from Team Liquid Academy. Being able to adapt game 1, game 3, game 5, attack this late game team fast enough after having an identity of being a late game team for the entirety of the split, changing things up, playing through Yawn, playing for early. Incredible stuff.
Just the way I would want this best of 5 to end. Unfortunate for the miracle run of Golden Guardians. It will be stopped here. But what an incredible run it was. And every single 10 of those players, including their coaches, ThinkHard and Spawn, have to be proud of what they were able to put on the Rift. This was a make or break moment. Everything from these players was left on it. And that's it for us here, Rebel. I mean, that was an intense best of 5. We're going to send to a little break. We're going to have the analyst desk with an interview and the breakdown of that series as we have our grand finalists set up.
Grid Academy. We said adaptation needed to be the name of the game. How do they take it in Game 5? Can they trust GGA after what seemed to be a very back and forth match? But gentlemen, like, they genuinely showed up this game, and like, consistent theme throughout this entire time. We didn't go 35 minutes. That means that GGA doesn't come online, and we still get to end it off strong. We will get the revenge match with them and 100 Thieves tomorrow, though. But Gage, let's start it off by taking a wide look at that series in the game.
You know what? Team Liquid Academy, they have a very distinct playstyle. They have a very tight and condensed playstyle, and I feel like this was the draft that they needed. They had the ability to kind of gank around, and they got Harry involved. Pretty much a top lane of solo kill. It felt like, you know, Dokla was on a completely different level than Niles this entire game.
And he shows up here with almost 0 mana. He uses every bit of his mana bar. Look at that, goes completely to be able to get that kill. But, you know, from there out, it is what really set up Dokla to handle this Orange Shen matchup really well, because that thwarted the top side, and it gave TLA so much side lane control. We also saw a lot of awkward fights coming out of Golden Guardians Academy. This is one of them that sticks out to me. You know, they're able to take down Ayla, but they hold this line for so long. They just stay here, kind of looking for the next skirmish, to the point where Ayla can respawn and rejoin the fight and get the kill right after that. So some questionable decisions coming out of Golden Guardians, but some very, very confident playmaking coming out of Team Liquid.
I mean, this fight in particular lasts, I don't know, far too long.
There he
I don't
is.
know if there's an objective measure
There
to
he
this,
is.
but yeah, as you said, Ayla comes back and it just continues. GGA, they end up losing because Team Liquid Academy, they had the gumption. They were able to stick around, and quite frankly, the Braum in the draft was such a big play from them, because that into Orange just made him completely unable to engage. And their Team Liquid Academy, all they had to do was play around their extremely tanky laners and let Orange block any sort of engage that they had.
And talking about that Braum, by the way, Ayla, so good. He was smurfing this entire game right here. You know, he did block a lot of the Call of the Forge Gods, as you were talking about, but the big thing there is he was just that tanky member. He was the beef, always standing in front with Anori, allowing the backline of Team Liquid Academy to wail away, like you're seeing right here with Harry and Jan chasing down every single member of Golden Guardians Academy. The 20-minute Baron call was insane to me, but they took it down so fast to destroy Golden Guardians right after. Team Liquid Academy, man, this was a very definitive Game 5.
And I find, like, what better way to close it out than that right there, right? Considering we saw that the early game was definitely how I find about half the games were definitely decided for GG especially. More often than not, they were able to get a pretty solid lead in the early, and then mid-game 2 is where they kind of falter too. But right from the jump here, at 27 minutes in this game, TLA, front to back, top to bottom, control across the board. I find they like really learn exactly what GGA wants to do and shut that down at every single point. But I did want to ask you a question before we do throw over to the Verizon post-game interview with Jan himself, though, gentlemen. If you could tell GGA something, you know, just like one quick point, what would you get across after this series?
I just want to start this off with fantastic job. You know, this is a defeat, but this is a top 3 finish from a bottom team in Academy that was able to turn around all their momentum, that was able to turn around all the downtrodden they were going through. It was a great run, and it makes me excited to see more of what Golden Guardians can do with a lot of these players.
And I would agree with that, in that you had so much improvement over this Golden Guardians Academy roster, because you saw them in week 1 of this Proving Grounds, and they weren't able to really bring that win for ZGA. But as the series went on, as we saw more Proving Grounds from them, I feel like every series they got better, and because of that, I hope that they get a whole lot more fans, because man, I love this team.
I just want to reiterate yet again what Niles told me at the top of the day, right? You know, I did ask him, would he be okay losing today? And he said, honestly, I wouldn't be happy, but I would be content. And I hope that GGA is more than content, because they definitely played their hearts out. You mentioned it before too, but every single thing they do is for the team all the decisions that we saw throughout these 5 games have the team in mind. And it's kind of beautiful synergy is I find like it's like can be a little bit rough sometimes. Players get tilted at each other, you know, like there's sometimes some infighting and that kind of can come out in between these games. People just go silent. But at GGA, these guys were a real squad when they played together too. Even just looking 2 days ago, you know, when Yunbi in fact talked about he wants to like, you know, help make like Niall's dreams come true. I think that's one of the most selfless things I've ever heard out of a player on their own squad, right? So phenomenal stuff from them. And great thoughts from y'all too. TLA right now, the end of their run back against 100 Thieves. Is this something that you find that you want to see them change up against them again here? Destra, starting off with you first.
Man, this makes me excited. I talked about this at the beginning of the day, the fight forever feel that I get from 100 Thieves and Team Liquid from this year. You know, we had them in the playoffs and semifinals, a semifinals match that could have very well been the finals between these two as it went to Game 5. You saw the same thing in Proving Grounds when these two teams went at it once again, going to a Game 5, going the distance, and now they're going to fight a third time. We get the rubber match. We're going to throw it back just one more time. It's exciting to me because this is definitely going to be a fun series to see unfold. You know, for Team Liquid, a lot of this means like the year of TL when it comes to Academy. They've just started getting their success this year. You know, they got their first Academy title. It would be great to follow that with the Proving Grounds title, but 100 Thieves have been the org that have started doing the earliest developments when it comes to the infrastructure of North America. You know, I always praise them so much for the 100 Thieves Next program that they started in January of 2020. So to me, this is a hyped matchup. I couldn't be more excited, both from where both of these teams are coming from and the fact that they put on good matches every time they do showdown.
I think it was an exciting best of 5 last time. It's going to be an exciting best of 5 next time because, man, tomorrow is just going to be so explosive between two teams that have made so many roster changes recently that it's going to be, it feels fresh, but while also feeling familiar. And that's what I love to see about these teams.
I think, yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing, right? We have this run back yet again of the same matchup, but TLA, like the way they played before up against 100 Thieves, I find it's not the same team playing today. They look extremely cohesive. Every single one of them was on the exact same page, and they're firing on all engines. I believe myself was even saying that before too, like just on both sides at certain points within these series. I think 100 Thieves like definitely has a lot to go up against though. But one thing I remember talking to a couple of different coaches across the scene, like with the way 100 Thieves plays, like these guys are erratic, sporadic, and you do not know what is going to come next when you play up against them with all of these plays. In fact, I do want to take a quick look at the bracket that we have going into tomorrow. Considering it is just the grand finals here. And Cage, like, we're talking a lot about the journey that we got to get here. This series, I find, has to go the distance, right? There's no way it doesn't.
Oh, 100%. Again, we already have an indication. We've seen this exact matchup before, and I feel like neither team is going to give an inch when it comes to this grand finals that's going to be happening tomorrow. 100 Thieves Academy, they were playing hard. Even this entire roster has been playing amazingly throughout the Proving Grounds, and Team Liquid Academy, even with the last-minute switch, are showing that they are a tour de force, and have shown that today. They're going to show it tomorrow.
Oh, it's I'm personally very excited too, especially considering what we've seen 100 Thieves before as well, especially, you know, with their new changes alongside Chat Jungle, who I find coming out from 100X has definitely showed up in this series too, with the way he's able to enable his laners too and going up against Inori. I would be really interested to see how that overall matchup does play out though. But TLA, I still think like with the way the game plan was up against GGA, it's definitely not going to be the same one for 100 Thieves. But I was mentioning before, with Yan and with Yan too, at least showing up this series, they can really play more. They can play a lot more towards bot side, and it opens a lot more options for TA up against 100 Thieves if they want to try to explode and poke, I should say, any holes based upon what we could potentially see. But Destructs, I did want to get your like overarching thoughts on what we might see tomorrow as well.
You're talking about playing from the bot side. Well, you know, 100 Thieves Academy have Luger. He's one of the most praised marksmen when it comes to the Academy scene. That is a hyped up matchup. That is another one that makes me excited. The volatility of the top side of the map for both of these teams is what makes me excited as well, because we're talking about a rematch from Academy. Only 6 players out of the 10 are actually in this rematch. There's 2 from both sides, both in the top role and in the jungle role, because both of these squads have sent substitutes over to Worlds to just in case they need that backup. But yeah, so you have 2 teams that have swapped out their entire top sides, but they've swapped it out with some spice. Chad Jungle, Gamsu, Inori, Dokla. What more could you really ask for in the finals, especially with 100 Thieves and Team Liquid?
I mean, I know what more I can ask for right now is going to be the Verizon post-game interview with Ayla from TLA. Let's hear it, man.
Hello.
Ella, what's up, bro? How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Really happy after that
Oh.
series win.
Oh yeah, I mean, I imagine you have to be, right, considering like just it was a very, very hard fought series. So I do want to start off right off the bat by taking a look back. Game 4 was definitely a real rough one for y'all. So talk to me a little bit about the adaptations that went through between the final 2 games and just overall the series when you were playing up against GGA.
Well, game 4, we picked like an early game centric comp. They had like Ornn Trundle, so they scaled very well. They were very tanky, and we didn't have the carries to kill that front line. So we needed to essentially accelerate the game, fight objectives. Credit to Jake. He really, after the game, he really stressed like the need to like accelerate the game, fight objectives, be aggressive. So like after game 4, we knew exactly what we had to do going to game 5, and then as you saw in game 5, we like dominated the early game, got everything, every herald, every dragon. We were up like a 12k gold, I think, at a certain point. So yeah, we were just really aggressive, take over the game, and that got us the victory.
Yeah, like I found like just those early games too really to decide like kind of how the overall momentum and shift of the game would go. Because I know one thing you don't want to do is take GGA 35 because then suddenly things become very, very scary. But right now, the speaking of adaptation, right? I'm sure we've been, I know many of us have been talking about it before, but bringing in Inori and Dokla too, especially after the previous 100 Thieves series, how did you guys adapt to them, their play styles, and essentially their vision of what they want to do in this game?
Yeah, I mean, after the 100 Thieves series, we talked about it as a team, like what went wrong. And like, I don't want to spill too much because we will be playing them tomorrow, but we're going to bring the fight to them. We had 2 scrim sets only leading into the 100 Thieves set because of the sudden change of rosters. So we went to practice, but after having 5 games against them, 5 against GGA, I'm really confident that we will like take the victory over them.
I mean, like, considering you guys look absolutely fantastic this game, right? Though, is this something that you guys did to like make sure that your entire top set and bot set was on the same page with all these new changes?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about all our problems, because obviously having a jungle change means shot calling would be a lot different. So me and Nori talks about like, what went wrong, what do we need to focus on, and then we focus on that in game. We make sure that everyone is on the same page, we're on the same like wavelength, and then we just commit and like work together as a team.
I mean, y'all definitely look to be right on the same page too, and definitely firing on all cylinders. Though, local question for you though, like past Nori, when you roam, does Yon miss you?
I do feel a bit guilty sometimes. Yes, I leave Yon on an island a lot of the time. So I'm really grateful that he keeps the mental strong. When we're all top side and he's just weak side. Sucking the waves. Yeah, I appreciate you, Yon, and I'm sorry, but I'm gonna continue doing it.
Ah, pain. But I'm sure he'll understand nonetheless that you have a job to do, and so does he, which is absolutely beautiful. But as of right now, I know you mentioned that you don't want to like leak too much up against 100 Thieves, though. Just talk to me a little bit about when you go up against him tomorrow. Does the plan change? What more could we expect out of TLA?
I don't think the plan changes. We'll bring the fight to them. Make sure we dominate the early game. Make sure we team fight well. Like we pick the right champs. But yeah, I don't think much will change. We'll just play better and demolish them.
All right, I mean, that's beautiful to hear. And final thing about you, which I always like to ask though, what do you think right now is not being said and should be said about perhaps TLA as a whole and maybe about you as a player?
Yeah, well, I just want to say a big shout out to Dokla and Inori. I don't know if people have been praising them, but they really stepped up. huge. You know, the position they're in is not easy. So, you know, they really performed Dokla in game 1, especially on the Camille. He smurfed his ass off. You know, happy that
For
he
sure.
shut up Niles after all the trash talk that happened in Norway. Really, really grateful that he steps in and like we put him in a hard spot and demand a lot of things from him. So him stepping up and fulfilling that, you know, I appreciate it. And then lastly, Harry has been playing out of his mind. So
Oh yeah.
if no one knows yet, Harry's the best mid laner in Academy, and we'll win tomorrow and prove that.
I believe that too. Final question for you, mate. You said a little bit ago too that when you came here that you wanted to improve your laning, and even throughout summer though, do you feel as though that you've been able to do that?
To mixed success. I'm not satisfied with my current level, so there's always more to improve, and hopefully I'll show you tomorrow that, you know, I can lane well, I can prove myself, but we have to see.
I mean, we do indeed, but thank you so much, homie. The congrats yet again, and good luck tomorrow against 100 Thieves. I know all of us, like just across the board, are so excited.
Thank you. Expect a fun series.
Oh, I do indeed. Take care. What a guy, huh? You said expect a fun series, and guys, I definitely am.
I love the confidence that comes off of him, especially when he gets into some of these interviews. I remember his last interview of the Academy season, where he just closed it off with, to everyone else to be scared of us, we're gonna smurf. They win the entirety of the playoffs, get the crown, and now they're right here in the finals of Proving Grounds. Man, they're smurfing. They're smurfing.
They're playing pretty strong.
Yeah, they're looking absolutely great, and I cannot wait to see what more we get out of them. But ladies and gentlemen, like, thank you all so much for tuning in today. It has been an honor and a pleasure taking you to the Luna's Finals. Remember, same time, same place tomorrow for the grand finals on Proving Grounds, a day and match you do not want to miss. The culmination of everything everybody's been working so hard for. TLA versus 100 Thieves. I feel like I'm missing out on something, but it's okay. And just for everybody from behind the scenes, you know, me, Cage, Jetstrux, Mazel, Rebel, everybody at production. We appreciate y'all watching. With that all being said, I've been Ravish, the most ravish man on the internet. Y'all have a good night, and we'll catch y'all tomorrow. Peace.